Be seated.
Second District Court is now in session. Honorable Megan Staverson presiding.
Who do I have from the jail first so that we can get them taken care of?
Mr. Goodman, Your Honor.
All right, we will deal with Mr. Goodman first. Let me find his file. All right, this is file 200681. Now is the time and place scheduled for, I believe we have a arraignment on a sentencing on a probation violation. Mr. Goodman is present in person. Mr. Dunham, did you have the chance to speak with Mr. Goodman?
I did. I told him, Your Honor, that what the recommendation says, and he understands. I don't know if he has anything he wants to say about it, but he knows it says 30 days recommended jail with 16 credit, get back on track and so on. That's all.
All right, Mr. Goodman, was there anything that you wanted to add before I impose your sentence for your probation violation?
Yes, Honor, if I may. I do have all jobs lined up as soon as I get out to proceed to go ahead and continue with my life and to progress with my probation and to just continue to turn my life around.
All right, thank you, Mr. Goodman. The court's going to follow the recommendation from the probation department. What I'm going to do for your probation violation, Mr. Goodman, is continue your probation. The court wants you to get your probation back on track. So once you're released from jail, we'll have your report here to the probation department so you know what's expected of you. I am going to require that you serve 30 days in jail, giving you credit for 16 days in jail, Mr. Goodman. Good luck to you, and we'll see you upon your release. Probation is continued.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, deputies, was that the only one today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings me to Jade Bethel. Do I have Ms. Bethel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bethel, I need to arraign you today on one file, 220241. This alleges on or about February 16th of this year, one count of retail fraud in the third degree. It alleges that while you were at Walmart, while it was open to the public, that you did steal property of the store that was offered for sale at a price of less than $200. If you were convicted of this, Ms. Bethel, it is a misdemeanor that carries up to 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, or 3 times the value or difference in the price of the property stolen, obtained, or attempted to be obtained, whichever is greater. Ms. Bethel, do you understand that you've been charged with the retail fraud crime?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you had a chance to review your advice of rights, ma'am, all of the rights that you have available to you in a criminal case?
Yes.
Mr. Dunham, having had a chance to speak with Ms. Bethel, how might she like to proceed?
Your Honor, she's there with a co-defendant named Skylar Berlew. I talked to both of them, and each of them, even though I feel it's kind of a conflict for me, but they each want to plead guilty to the charge and get it over with today. So that's what she wants to do. Jade wants to plead guilty.
Mr. Dunham, I have an amended complaint authorization from the prosecutor's office that would allow them to plead guilty under a delayed sentence for 6 months. Do you have
Okay,
that?
I'm sure, no, I didn't get that, but I'm sure they'd like to do that. That'd be
I
great.
have that offered on both of you. So I'll go over it with you first, Ms. Bethel. This is kind of an even better deal than you pleading guilty up front. You would be pleading guilty to the retail fraud, as you indicated you were willing to do, but the prosecutor's office is willing to allow a delayed sentence, and so is the court. That means if in 6 months you haven't had any additional issues, it will enter as a dismissal so that you don't have it on your record. Ms. Bethel, is that something you would like to do?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bethel, has anybody threatened you, harassed you, told you that you had to come in here and plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
And has anybody promised you anything other than this plea offer?
No, Your Honor.
Can you raise your right hand for me, Jade?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down, Ms. Bethel. Mr. Dunham, if you wouldn't mind asking a few questions.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bethel, is it true that on or about February 16th of 2022, you were in the Walmart store there in Jonesville, and you took an item or two that did not belong to you and didn't pay for it,
Yes.
and you're willing to own up to that today and plead guilty, correct,
Yes.
Your Honor?
All right, Ms. Bethel, I believe that what you've admitted to rises to the level of being a retail fraud in the third degree. The court will find you guilty of that, Ms. Bethel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a sentencing date out for 6 months from today. As long as the court doesn't hear that there's any additional offenses, we should receive a notice from the prosecutor's office that they're dismissing the case. If for some reason you do have additional problems, then you're going to need to appear at the date that you get, the sentencing date, okay? If you have any questions about that as it gets nearer to the date of your sentencing, please call the district court and ask us. Don't just not come. Call and ask us if it's necessary for you to be present, okay?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Bethel, good luck to you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
And then do I have Skylar Burlew?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Burlew, we'll get this taken care of as well. I understand that this might be related to the last case. On file 220242, you've also been charged with retail fraud in the third degree, alleging that you did steal property less than $200 from Walmart. This was on or about February 16th. As I indicated, this is a misdemeanor that if you were convicted carries potentially up to 93 days in jail or $500 in fines, or 3 times the value or difference in the price of the property stolen, whichever is greater. Mr. Burlew, do you understand what you've been charged with and what rights you have available to you, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Dunham, as you indicated to me before, you believe that Mr. Burlew would like to take advantage of the plea offer as well.
I'm sure he will, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Burlew, what's been offered to you is the same as the last case. You would be pleading guilty as charged to retail fraud in the third degree, but the prosecutor's office and this court have agreed to a delayed sentence, which means if you don't get yourself in any additional trouble for 6 months, this would be dismissed. If for some reason you did have an issue arise, then you would be sentenced at the end of the 6 months. Do you understand?
Yes, absolutely, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Burlew, has anybody threatened you, harassed you, told you that you had to come in here and plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
And has anybody promised you anything other than this plea offer?
No.
All right, Mr. Burlew, you can raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you were about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can put your hand down, Mr. Burlew. Mr. Dunham, a few questions, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Burlew, is it true that you also on February 16, 2022 were in Walmart and took some items from the store without paying for them?
Yes, sir.
That's right in Jonesville, Hillsdale County, Michigan, just like Jade's case, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Your Honor?
All right, Mr. Burlew, I believe what you've admitted to does rise to the level of being a retail fraud in the third degree. The court will find you guilty of that. I'm going to set your date out for sentencing in 6 months as well. As long as there's no additional issues, I would anticipate the prosecutor's office will dismiss this. Otherwise, you will receive a court date in the mail. Make sure that you call before that court date passes and see whether you need to attend or not, sir, okay?
Okay.
All right, good luck to you. You may disconnect.
Thank
if
you,
would
Your
like.
Honor. Yep.
Christina Fritz.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Ms. Fritz. I have one file to arraign you on, file 200925. Ma'am, this alleges, let me find the paper here, it's stuck together. Back on or about June of 2020, one count of retail fraud in the third degree. It alleges that while Walmart was open to the public, you did steal property of the store that was offered for sale at a price of less than $200. Ms. Fritz, this is a misdemeanor that carries up to 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, or 3 times the value or difference in the price of the property stolen, whichever is greater. You understand then, Ms. Fritz, what it is you've been accused of?
Yes.
And if you had a chance to speak with Mr. Dunham about all of the rights that you have available to you, ma'am?
I did.
All right. Mr. Dunham, have you had a chance to speak with Ms. Fritz?
I did, Your Honor. Even though she was given an offer, I think she's made it clear she would like to think about it. She just can't make up her mind and she feels nervous about it. So I told her she should plead not guilty today and set her for pre-trial. She can decide then whether to take a plea bargain or not.
Absolutely. So Ms. Fritz, what the court's going to do, ma'am, we're going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf and set the matter for a pretrial conference That pretrial conference will be a chance for you to meet with the prosecutor to see if there's any potential resolution in that case. Okay, ma'am?
Okay.
All right, so you live over on Oak Tree Lane in Hanover, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, that's where we're gonna send your notice of hearing for the pretrial conference, all right?
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck to you, Ms. Fritz, and we'll see you at that pretrial.
Okay, thank you.
We have Sonia O'Brien.
Yes,
Can you hear me okay, Ms. O'Brien?
yes, I can.
All right, ma'am, there's one file I need to arraign you on, file 220296. It alleges on or about March 4th of this year, one count of retail fraud in the second degree. It alleges that while Walmart was open to the public, you did steal property of the store that was offered for sale at a price of $200 or more, but less than $1,000. It specifically alleges that you failed to scan items with an intent to steal worth $209. If you were convicted of this, Ms. O'Brien, is a misdemeanor that carries up to 1 year in jail and or $2,000 in fines, or 3 times the value or difference of the property, whichever is greater. Do you understand, Ms. O'Brien, what it is you have been accused of?
Yes, I do.
And have you had a chance to review your advice of rights, all of the rights that you have available to you, ma'am?
Yes.
Mr. Dunham,
think
did you have a
so.
chance to speak? All right, Mr. Dunham, did you have a chance to speak with Ms. O'Brien, explain to her what her rights are?
Yeah, she knows she can take us to pretrial and so on. That's what she wants to do. She did enter a not guilty plea today.
All right, Ms. O'Brien, I will enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. We'll get the matter scheduled for a pretrial conference. Because you've been charged with a retail fraud in the second degree, I am going to make a request that an attorney be appointed to you, ma'am, if you cannot afford one. That way you have legal
Thank you.
representation throughout the criminal process. You may be responsible for all, some, or none of the cost of the public defender. It's based upon your ability to pay, Ms. O'Brien, okay?
Okay,
All right, so we will get you scheduled for your pretrial conference then, ma'am, and we will see you then. Feel free to disconnect.
thank you. Thank you.
All right, do I have a Brooks Pack?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Pack, can you
Can
hear
I
me
hang
okay?
up?
Yes, you can. Mr. Pack,
Thank you.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I need to arraign you on file 220297. Sir, this is a 1-count misdemeanor complaint. It alleges on or about February 26th of this year, 1 count of operating while intoxicated. It alleges that you did operate a vehicle upon a highway, Lark Drive, while under the influence of alcoholic liquor or having an alcohol content of over 0.08 grams or more per 100 milliliters of blood. It specifically alleges that you were involved in a 1-vehicle crash and smelled an intoxicant's blood was drawn. This is a misdemeanor, Mr. Pack, that carries up to 93 days in jail and or $100 to $500 in fines and or 360 hours of community service. The court could also order rehabilitative programs, costs of prosecution, reimbursement to the government for emergency response, and expenses for prosecuting defendant. Vehicle immobilization is mandatory if there's a prior offense. Mr. Pack, do you understand what it is you have been accused of?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you had a chance to review your advice of rights, all of the rights that you have available to you today on a misdemeanor charge?
Yes.
Mr. Dunham, having had a chance to speak with Mr. Pack, how would he like to proceed?
He'd like to enter a not guilty plea, Your Honor, set up for pretrial.
All right, Mr. Pack, I will enter a not guilty plea on your behalf, and the matter will be scheduled for a pretrial conference. The court will request that if you cannot afford an attorney, one be appointed to you. You may be responsible for all, some, or none of the costs of the public defender. Do you understand?
Yes. I retained an attorney this morning, Miss Berger.
Okay, so we will
And-
go ahead and make a notation that we do not need to appoint counsel, that you have retained an attorney, and we'll simply wait for her to file her appearance, Mr. Pack.
Yep. She's I'm gonna pay her in the morning, so she should be
Okay.
filing it within the next few days or something.
I'm sure she will. And so as soon as we get that appearance, then we'll get you a date scheduled for your pretrial conference, all right?
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Great, good luck to you.
Thanks.
Eric Powell?
Yes.
Can you hear me and see me okay, sir?
Yes, I can.
All right. Mr. Powell, I need to arraign you on one file, 220260. Sir, this alleges on or about February 27th of this year, one count of operating while intoxicated. It alleges that you did operate a vehicle upon a highway, that being Manning Street, while under the influence of alcoholic liquor or having an alcohol content of over 0.08 grams or more per 100 milliliters of blood. It specifically alleges, Mr. Powell, that you were stopped for a driving infraction, smelled of intoxicants, and had a preliminary test of 0.15, causing blood to be drawn. If you were convicted of this offense, Mr. Powell, it is a misdemeanor that carries up to 93 days in jail and or $100 to $500 in fines and or 360 hours of community service. The court may also order rehabilitative programs, vehicle immobilization mandatory with a prior, costs of prosecution, reimbursement to the government for emergency response, and expenses for prosecution of the defendant. Mr. Powell, do you understand that you've been charged with operating while intoxicated?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
And have you had a chance to review all of the rights that you have available to you in a criminal case, sir?
Yes, I have.
All right, Mr. Dunham, having had the chance to speak with Mr. Powell, how would you like to proceed?
Your Honor, even though he's been offered an impaired driving by the prosecutor, he hasn't got the blood test results back. We'd like to set the plea not guilty and set this for a pretrial conference.
All right, Mr. Powell, we will do that. I know sometimes it takes a while to get those blood results back. So we'll get you scheduled for a pretrial conference, and not guilty plea is entered on your behalf. Are you retaining counsel, Mr. Powell, or would you request the court appoint an attorney to you?
As of right now, I'm requesting court appointing attorney, but yes, I'm gonna retain counsel, I believe.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do then, Mr. Powell, did you fill out any of your financial forms yet for the request for the public defender?
I know I haven't.
Okay, you'll get those forms then. I will request that an attorney be appointed to you. I think it's important on an OWI for you to have representation. You may be responsible for all, some, or none of the costs of the public defender based upon your ability to pay. If you are going to have an attorney enter an appearance, Mr. Powell, that's perfectly acceptable as well. Just make sure that they get their appearance to the court.
Thank you.
All right, I'm just going to continue all your bond conditions. Make sure that you follow those, and we'll see you at your pretrial conference.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You can disconnect, sir. Do I have Daniel Betzer?
Yes.
Mr. Betzer, can you hear me okay, sir?
Yes, I can.
All right, on file 210317, I believe the court's arraigning you on a probation violation today. The allegation, Mr. Betzer, is that you failed to report for probation on February 1st of 2022 and also on March 1st of 2022. Do you understand, Mr. Betzer, what it is you've been accused of in the probation violation?
Yes.
And if you had a chance to speak with Mr. Dunham about the rights that you have available to you, for example, if you didn't wish to admit responsibility, you could request a hearing in the matter.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Dunham, having had a chance to speak with Mr. Betzer, how would you like to proceed?
I believe he wishes to admit and explain his violation, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Betzer, has anybody threatened you, harassed you, told you that you had to come in here and plead guilty?
No.
Can you raise your right hand for me, sir?
Yep.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down, Mr. Betzer. The allegation against you, sir, is that you failed to report on February 1st and also on March 1st of this year. Is that correct?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, I've been working a lot, and we actually bought a house not a couple months ago. I've been trying to work on that to get it to where we can move in, because we got her I got her daughter, her son in the house now, so the house we got just isn't big enough. So I've been trying to get that done. I've paid my fines off. Did that like last week or the week before. I'm just trying to, I haven't done anything wrong. I just forgot to call.
All right. And Mr. Betzer, I'll note for the record that you've been on probation, I believe, since back in June of last year, 2021. It was just these last 2 months that you forgot to call in. Would you agree with that there hadn't been any issues beforehand?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Dunham, do you believe I received enough information from Mr. Betzer to accept his plea to his probation violation?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Betzer, I'm gonna find you guilty of your first probation violation. The court understands that life gets in the way. Just don't forget about us. When you're on probation for something like this, we have to guarantee that the public is safe and that you're getting out of probation what you're supposed to. I'm just gonna simply, I'm not assessing any jail time. I'm just gonna give you a warning. Get your probation back on track. Why don't you call in here and ask to speak with Lori? Mr. Benzine's on vacation next week. So why don't you call in here and ask to speak with Lori tomorrow, just before the end of the business day, Mr. Betzer, and you can discuss with her what's necessary left for you to complete your probation successfully, sir, okay?
All right. So call her tomorrow.
Yep, give her a call tomorrow.
All right.
All right, Mr. Betzer, good luck to you.
All right. Thank you.
And then, did Mr. Ormsby call in?
I don't even have it on our docket.
He wasn't on the docket, but did we get a phone call? He was the one, Mr. Dunham, I believe that Laura Ray, he wished to
Yeah.
make some arrangements regarding some payments, but I don't think he's called in, so I guess there's nothing we can do
Yeah,
to help. him.
Teresa sent me the paperwork. She said Laura Ray said he was gonna call in.
Well, he's not here, so I guess we don't need to deal with him then. I think that
All right.
takes care of arraignments then, Mr. Dunham.
All right,
Thank you.
see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.